Detroit basketball.
And welcome into Views from the Sideline. It's it's after the holidays, after Christmas break.
Hey,
Back to work.
How's
Here we
your
go.
Christmas, man? How are the holidays?
Pretty good.
Pretty good for me too.
I'm your host, Joey Tysick. My partner, Malik Hill. Chris Pappas out of the building today, so we're gonna play him a little
something's missing.
song for him.
The
Hopefully, Chris,
host.
you enjoy this.
It's kind of like his theme song now.
Oh, wait. This is the wrong one. Sorry. No. I meant to
Wrong
play
song?
this one.
Hey, Chris, this was not my idea. I just want to say that.
Wait. That's not it either.
I will not bob my head or clap.
Oh, wait. Sorry. That wasn't it.
Oh, we're
I meant this one. Sorry.
how happy are you really, Joey? I mean,
No, in all seriousness, Chris isn't feeling very well today, so actually, hope you feel better, Chris. I need my counterpart to disagree with me on many things. But today, it's just me and Malik. We're going to talk some college football, a little bit of NFL playoffs, and we'll wrap it up with NBA Christmas and more of the confusing Pistons. So, Malik, which bowl game would you like to start with?
well,
You want to start with Michigan and Florida? Since that's or do you want to save that one for last?
we can. Well, let's talk Michigan State, Oregon first, since that's
That's like the lesser of
the,
all
the
those.
least interesting, but still
Right.
finish
Okay.
off the year strong.
Okay.
Spartans,
So Michigan State has to go against the
Oregon Ducks.
so far everybody has touted him as the number one quarterback going in the draft.
Yep. Who just announced he's coming back for a senior season?
So
Messing up a lot of dreams for
now
NFL teams.
Now it's even worse because he's coming back, but they
Yes.
still have to play one of the great quarterbacks in college football. And for Michigan State, that's a tough one when their defense has been nowhere near Michigan State defense.
Although they have been really, the defense is the one thing they've been able to hang
Yeah.
their hat on this year.
Right, but
But it still hasn't been enough to
yeah.
win the games they want to win.
Right. And to be fair, too, Oregon isn't what they used to be as well.
Yeah,
they're
they're
still
yeah.
high-powered offense, but they're not.
they're rebranding right now.
Exactly. So, I don't know. I'm a little concerned because Michigan State has just been faltering throughout the whole season. They've been up and down, and their offense has been very, very, very inconsistent. I don't know where their offense is going to come
It's
from.
a little bit more than inconsistent. It's been, it's
I'm so
hard
scared.
to put in words.
I want them to win, obviously. But I just have this bad feeling because Oregon has such a, I guess, history, but just having a star player like this in a lower tier bowl game as this is, that can be all the difference.
Yeah, this is a serious chance for Justin Herbert to show the talent that everybody is going crazy over, especially since if he was going into the draft, he probably would have sat this game out. Even if he played it, he wouldn't have played hard. With him coming back, he's going to take this game seriously. There's no laziness to this game. His arm is going to be on display. He can go short, intermediate. He can go deep. He has real velocity on his throws. If you mess up slightly, he will mess you. He could put the ball in the smallest of windows, and he can hit somebody when they're wide open. So Michigan State has to stay on the ball, or they can get embarrassed in this game. I don't expect them to get embarrassed. I actually expect this game to be kind of ugly because Oregon has looked pretty bad this season
Right.
also. So, yeah, I don't expect fireworks out of this one at all.
And especially with him announcing that he's going to come back for his senior season, it's either going to make or break his draft stock. So for him to say that and then go into this game, he's got to prove something that he wants to be even better than people think
Yep.
he is. So it'll be a good test for him, but it'll also be a good way for Michigan to state to say you should have went to the draft.
Is Lewerke still out?
I don't know. I honestly haven't even kept up with Michigan State in the
Okay.
last week or so, just because. So that's something I'll have to look up.
If Lewerke plays, I wouldn't be surprised if he played good, just
Yeah.
to show he's not a slouch. He can play with Justin Herbert too.
The biggest thing is if Michigan State gets any sort of running game, it would add
That is the
so much
question.
depth to their offense. They have struggled to run the ball the whole season.
Yeah, the disappearance of LJ Scott is it's a
here.
real problem.
It's here.
Serious problem.
So I don't know. I hope this is a close game. I don't think it's going to be that exciting as like if you thought a couple years back and it was Oregon, Michigan State, you'd be like, oh, this is a good bowl game. I don't know if it's going to be that, but I think it should be
Yeah.
close.
There will be some exciting moments. Ryan Willikis is going to continue to build his draft stock because he's becoming one of the most dominant defensive ends in college football. And if he gets to Justin Herbert and gets a lot of pressures and a few sacks, he'll definitely be a bright spot. And yeah, Michigan State will have some confidence going into next season if they get this win.
Who do you think is winning this game?
I'm going to go with Oregon. In the end, I'm going to go a 20-14 game. No high scoring. I don't
think so either.
Yeah, I think Michigan State will slip up a few times. Justin Herbert will take advantage of it, but even with Lewerke or Lombardi, they just don't have the firepower right now.
I'm going to pick Michigan State just as a positive note to end their season, hopefully.
If they win, it's the D'Antoni factor.
Yeah.
Antonio, yeah.
And I think it's going to be ugly as well. I think it'll be like, I'm going to go with
If this ends up being like 13-10, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm gonna go with 20-16. It's just a number that's popping into my head. But yeah, it'll be the latter of the bowl games. I think this is on New Year's Eve, isn't it?
Yep, December 31st.
It's kind of unfortunate because usually I like watching some of the games on that day, and this one I'm not looking that forward to.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's is it an earlier game? Let me see.
Yeah, I think it's earlier.
It is a
It's
it's
not
a 3:00 game, which should have been more of like a noon game. But hey, the
Either way.
fan bases are strong.
Right.
People are gonna watch it. Yeah, people are gonna watch that game.
All right, another game I want to watch is Washington and Ohio State. There's a lot of good games
All those New Year's games
on this day, and I'm interested in Ohio State for one reason. Dwayne Haskins, I think, is the only quarterback I would allow the Lions to draft.
Really, I need to
Yeah.
hear your reasoning for this because
I-
I'm not on the Dwayne Haskins bandwagon.
I just
not.
feel like he fits the Lions offense. If for some reason, they're not gonna change things around, and he slings the ball, and he's pretty accurate.
He's
doesn't-
very
He
accurate.
doesn't turn the ball over, and he's just a gunslinger, and that's what Detroit is known to do. So I mean, I feel like he's a pretty good option. I don't know. It's just one of those Joey feelings that I feel like he's going to be a really good quarterback for the NFL. He's got size to him, and I just think he fits the mold. I still don't want them to draft a quarterback, at least in the first round, but I don't know. Do you think Dwayne Haskins will go to the first round? Or do you think he'll?
Yes, because I saw earlier on ESPN.
Because I know his stock is rising.
But behind Justin Herbert, Dwayne Haskins was the second-ranked quarterback in this
Okay.
draft, and this isn't a very strong class,
Right.
honestly. But it isn't really weak either. Kind of like those Christian Ponder, EJ Manuel years, which were just forgettable. But yeah, this is a decent year. You have Will Grier from West Virginia, who they put him behind Drew Lock from Missouri, which is crazy to me.
Right.
His resume is fantastic. But you have him, you have Dwayne Haskins. Daniel Jones from Duke is a guy that's pretty high. He's playing right now, and he's playing pretty good versus Temple.
Right.
But Dwayne Haskins, he's really accurate. If the receiver is open, he's going to hit him. I don't think he has a high ability of making difficult throws. If you get pressure in his face, he becomes a completely different player. He's shown that several times this season. And the thing is, not a lot of teams have been able to get pressure on him.
Right.
But when teams do, he'll still be able to put up big numbers, but the mistakes will come. He'll fumble. He'll get scared in the pocket. And even though he is mobile, he's not the most mobile guy.
Right.
He can get rattled. So he has a lot of work to do. I like him, but he has a ton of work to do. I don't see him being a really good NFL quarterback anytime soon.
Yeah. And the other big storyline in this game, too, is it's Urban Meyer's last game. Now, I don't really like the guy, but he's obviously got a good resume.
Top 5 coach of all time.
He's got a good resume overall.
Yeah.
I just don't like the guy. But I think Ohio State's going to play out of their minds for that reason.
Especially against Washington, who has been one of the most disappointing teams of this season. They've just been so the entire time.
Right. But yet they're still a good team. Like,
Yeah.
it just shows that, like, they could have been so much better. But I think Ohio State's just going to have too much in this game, and I think it's going to be another Dwayne Haskins showing to where Washington's just not going to look very good. And it's going to be one of those boring blowout games, but there's still big storylines, I think, behind it. So, I don't know. Do you think Washington has a chance? I mean, obviously you want to say they have a chance.
Last year, Ohio State played a team that was more talented in USC, and they completely demolished them. And they had an NFL quarterback. So I'm not sure. I mean, if they had Nick Bosa, I think it would be even. I think it'd be a complete blowout. But it may be close for a few quarters. But I think in the third and fourth, Ohio State's going to separate, and it won't be much of a problem. It'll be Urban Meyer going out on top in his last game.
Yeah, I agree. Another two notable games. We'll gloss over these ones a little bit. LSU versus UCF. UCF going for undefeated. I think they've won
Back-to-back national championships.
They've won 23 games in a row, I believe.
Yeah, they won 13 last year. Now they're up to 12-0.
And they're still just using their backup quarterback, which is insane. Do you think this team should have been higher ranked than 8th? Are you with the bandwagoners of?
They shouldn't have been higher than 8th.
Okay.
But they deserve all the credit in the world for what they've been able to do. Switching coaches, having the true leader of all of it, Scott Frost, leave and go to his alma mater, bringing in a new coach, and it just looks like nothing has changed. Although they lost a lot of defensive talent, a lot of NFL talent, which is why there's been a lot of more high-scoring games between them and other teams. But still kept it rolling. Mackenzie Milton led them through the whole season. Mackenzie Milton goes down. Backup quarterback comes in. He gets comfortable. They keep winning. Win the conference championship. I think they beat LSU. Honestly, I think that there's something. I'm terrified to say it because there's also a chance they could get demolished. LSU beat the mess out of Georgia at home, but this isn't a home game for LSU. That Death Valley element is huge for them.
Yeah.
This being a neutral game, UCF has a good chance to pull it out for me.
Yeah, and this will be a big statement game for them because, being in a lower conference, it makes their undefeated season not as good. But a win against LSU would be a solid bowl game win to finish off the season and kind of say, hey, we are a good, well, the conference isn't good, but we're good enough to compete with other conferences that are more successful.
26-0 over 2 years. That's no matter what team you are, that is extremely impressive.
Yeah.
Especially the American Conference is no slouch. It's not like the Sun Belt. No disrespect to the Sun Belt, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, extremely impressive if they pull it off.
And then the other snub that people talk about, Georgia playing Texas in the Sugar Bowl. Georgia is kind of upset that they were the 5th team and they're not in the playoffs right now. I think they had an argument for it, but I don't think they had an argument necessarily over Oklahoma.
Had to win that conference championship.
Right.
Couldn't
Which
do
is
it.
unfortunate that they have to play Alabama twice. But, that's what you get into the season knowing that that's going to happen.
You mean Oklahoma twice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. Georgia is good, but I think Oklahoma proved that they deserve to be there. I mean, they have Kyler Murray, who is Heisman
Heisman winner.
And he's, I don't know. Georgia just didn't put enough out there. They do have an argument, but I don't think that they're better than the top 4.
They should have won that SEC championship, but things happen, bad calls happen. Nick Saban is Nick Saban.
Yep.
Alabama usually pulls games like that out, unless it's Clemson.
They had
And
the
Deshaun
chance.
Watson is the quarterback.
They had the chance. And that just puts it into more perspective of this team should be 5. I think now going into this Texas game, though, they're going to have a lot more to fight for, I guess, is where, they're trying to prove themselves again, similar to UCF, where they feel like they should have been better. They weren't. And now it's time to prove it. It's a more meaningful bowl game for them. And I don't know if Texas is good enough to win this game.
Texas definitely is not good enough to win this game. I think they come out and surprise in the beginning because the talent they have with Sam Ellinger and Lil Jordan Humphrey, I think they make some big plays in the first quarter, maybe put up 2 touchdowns. But once Georgia gets settled in, once that defense starts going, they have pros on both sides of the ball. I mean, Elijah Holyfield and I'm forgetting their other quarterback, DeAndre Swift. Once them two get going, they're almost impossible to stop because then they'll go to play action and they'll start going deep to the receivers. I mean, I don't see the chance for Texas in this game.
It's a too high powered of an offense. If they can put up points like they did against Alabama, they can do it against any team in the country.
Until the fourth quarter, it looked like Georgia had complete control of that game.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
Guess it's time to talk about Michigan.
I was going to say, let's
it's about that time.
move in. Florida versus Michigan. The Peach Bowl.
Part 3. Yeah, part 3.
Michigan has never lost to Florida
Which is pretty impressive. It's weird.
in their history. And Florida's had some good teams in the past.
And Lloyd Carr beat Urban Meyer,
Yeah.
which is even weirder.
And I think it's the last 2 meetings that Michigan has blown out Florida in both of those games. Granted, they were a little while ago, but my biggest concern is Michigan seemingly having less and less players by each passing day. Players are getting hurt or they're stopping their play for the season. It's a little concerning, but I think the biggest news for Michigan recently is Shea Patterson coming back. I think that's a big, big deal. And I hope that they're going to try to really finish the season strong. I mean, I don't expect them to just try to fall flat or anything, but I'm a little nervous about this game. I'm not going to lie. And I don't know why.
I am actually, it's weird to say, but I'm encouraged with those players, the players skipping the games that are going into the draft.
Yeah.
There's more opportunity for the younger guys that are going to get a huge amount of playing time next year. There have already been talks about certain young players like Donovan Jeter and guys like Christian Turner that have young guys that were expected to come in and play, not from the start, but were expected to play early. They've gotten some time, but they haven't needed to make huge impacts. They're saying Donovan Jeter looks like a monster in their practices, and he's going to make an impact this game this Saturday. I'm excited to see that. With Karan Higdon out, Christian Turner gets to get more carries along with Chris Evans, which I hope Christian Turner gets as many carries as Chris Evans because I don't think Chris Evans is the number one option. And Jim Harbaugh usually goes with more than one running back, so it'll be good to see him getting some time. And seeing Shea Patterson keep going with these receivers. I mean, this receiving core, they have the opportunity to be one of the best receiving cores in the country next season.
Yeah, I felt like they built a really good chemistry this season.
Yeah.
At first, it was a little bit concerning going into the year, Shea Patterson being this newer quarterback for a new offense and things like that. But man, did they look good towards the end of the season. And I'm hoping that they keep that going and even upgrade it further into next season. And I expect they will. So I think that Michigan is looking good. And like you said, I think giving a team that has players that are going to the draft to let them sit makes sense and give the meaningful minutes to players that want to play and prove themselves. Because otherwise you have these guys that are going to get drafted and they go in and play and they're scared to get hurt and they're
Yeah.
not playing as hard because they pretty much already know they're in. So that's like my biggest thing with the bowl games in general is I hate that players sit, and I understand it because you obviously want to get paid at the next level, but it just makes it less meaningful for certain players, and it kind of hurts the overall of the team, but at the same time, it lets us see new talent. And like you said, Michigan is very deep. They have one of the better recruiting classes every year lately, and now it's time for these younger guys to keep proving themselves, and maybe we'll see bright stars of the future. Like you said, Jeter looking like he's going to be a real deal will be super interesting, and that's probably what I'm most excited for, at least for this team, to see if they can improve from an already successful season they had this year. But I don't know.
With all that being said, I'm also nervous.
Yeah,
Because a Dan Mullen Florida team is completely different from a Jim McElwain team. This Dan Mullen team, they've had a different vibe to them this year. The win they had against LSU in the Swamp, the run they had where they were almost a top 10 team earlier in the season. They've had moments where you can see Dan Mullen is turning around the culture in Gainesville. And this game for them, this can be a win that turns the tide and shows the SEC that they can be coming very soon.
right.
So,
They're
yeah.
looking for a 10-win season. Michigan's looking for an 11-win season, which are
Yeah.
both highs for both teams that they haven't achieved in a little bit. So it's meaningful for both teams. So it should be a very good game. That said, me being nervous, I still think Michigan's going to pull it out. But I think it's going to be 35-21. I think it's going to be a scary first half. But I think Michigan's going to figure it out.
I say it's a close game that comes down to a Jake Moody field goal.
Wow.
I think it's close all the way through. I don't think Dan Mullen is going to let this team. They're too talented and too well coached at this point to get handled. And seeing how Michigan played against Ohio State, Florida's they're going to smell blood in the water. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if Michigan's going to win, they're going to somehow run up the score towards the end of the game. And I think if Florida wins, it's going to be really, really, really close. But anyway, that out of the way, college football playoffs. 2 big games, Clemson and Notre Dame. Let's start with that one because that's the less storyline game, I guess.
I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going Clemson. I'm not wasting any time.
You don't believe in Notre Dame?
There are a lot of people. No. There are a lot of people that believe Notre Dame there are a lot of people that are picking the upset confidently. And, I mean, people have their opinions. Notre Dame, they've proved that they're a quality, really good team. They've earned their spot in the playoff. They went undefeated. I do not believe they have what it takes from a player standpoint. Talent versus talent, I think Clemson. And then you have Dabo Swinney, who, I mean, you can't discredit Brian Kelly. He's one of the top coaches in college football. But
Right.
what Dabo Swinney is building at Clemson, it's so far ahead of what Notre Dame has built.
They're trying to make a run back.
Exactly. There are recruits today that believe Clemson has been a power forever. And Dabo Swinney is the reason why. He's built this program to the point where young kids think Clemson has been almost on the same level as Alabama for a long time. And Notre Dame, really good program, legendary program, but the Clemson's on another level right now. And having Trevor Lawrence, having him have gone through what he's gone through this season is a plus for this game right here. He went to Boston College, played in a cold weather away game, handled that completely. He's been through the rough patches. His first few games, he was kind of rough, but he got in a roll. Been over the Kelly Bryant controversy. Won a conference championship. I think, yeah, he'll be ready. He'll definitely be ready.
Yeah, I feel like
this team will be,
I feel that Clemson is similar to Auburn like a few years back where they're like just under Alabama and it's like they're really struggling to get over the hump, but they keep coming back year after year and showing that they have a lot of talent. And I agree with you. I think Clemson is by far and away better than Notre Dame. I think they're going to get kind of run over. I think they're going to make it interesting, but I think Clemson's just going to be too strong, and I think they really want to, get another chance at Alabama. So I think Clemson will win this game. I think they're going to score like 40 plus.
This will be an Alabama type game where there will be a clear difference in athlete and strength and speed and size in this game. Where there will be some highlight plays in this game where somebody just gets made a fool of, whether it's a breakaway run or a crazy route or a crazy catch or a big hit on defense, where it's just going to be like Notre Dame they're just outmatched. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this ended something like 42-17, something like that.
It's unfortunate for Notre Dame fans, but
the fact that they're here, they should be happy about that. They're still the level of program where you go undefeated, you're gonna make the playoff. A Notre Dame team like that, you should be proud of that team.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you got UCF over there that's jealous that a team can go undefeated and be in the playoffs, unlike them. So yeah.
Which is still kind of absurd because Notre Dame should be in a conference. But that's a whole other conversation. Notre Dame should be in the ACC. They are in basketball and almost every other sport. But football is special.
Right.
They're the Golden Domers.
They don't want to change. They're not changing for anybody. Anyway, more interesting matchup in my opinion, Oklahoma versus Alabama.
This is the game everybody
Heisman Trophy winner versus Heisman runner-up. And Kyler Murray is choosing baseball. That's probably a smart choice on another note.
I think it would have been more interesting if he picked football. I kind of wish he picked football, but yeah, picking baseball, come take that money.
That's
take that money and run.
I think baseball is the smarter option.
You almost he has the level of talent where he's almost, I mean, you can't guarantee it, but he's almost a guaranteed 15-year player in baseball.
Right. And in football, you never know. Especially as a quarterback, you could get banged up in one game, and there goes your career.
In any position, one injury, and you could be out in a year.
Right. He's a shortstop, isn't he, in baseball?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So those skills usually will
extremely
last
fast,
you for a long time.
Steals bases, hard hitter too. Yeah, smart player.
Yeah. But either way, on the football field, he's just as good. And they're about to go up against Goliath, Nick Saban, Alabama. Tua. It's gonna be exciting. I'm excited for this game actually, and I'm not so excited about a lot of other bowl games this year, but this one I'm looking forward to. I think Oklahoma has a chance. The problem is their defense is the worst, literally the worst. I'm not even.
Sorry, Big 12. This is a Big 12 defense.
They have the last defense in pass defense in the whole FBS.
Yeah, their DBs, they look confused out there. Oklahoma State walked into Norman and just threw it all over them like they weren't there, it's so weird knowing how good of a program they are, knowing how good of a young coach Lincoln Riley is, that he just can't figure out that defense. I'm pretty sure they're looking for a new defensive coordinator at the moment, but
I would hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, if they had a defense, it would be so much better.
They wouldn't be number 4. They'd probably be 2 or 3.
They wouldn't have to go up against Alabama in the semifinal. And that's where it's going to be. Like, is Oklahoma's offense so good that they can get past Alabama? I don't know if that's true. There's obviously possibilities and ways that it can happen, but it's just so hard to beat Alabama, and I hate it. Everybody hates it except for Alabama.
Alabama's defense. Kyler Murray's going to make some plays in this game, but that Alabama defense, it's going to be too much.
They're going to make it tough.
If this game ended like 56-52, I would be surprised, but at the same time, I would be like, this is what everybody expected.
Right.
Just a shootout of the highest proportions. Tua and Kyler both throwing for 5 touchdowns. Maybe this goes to an overtime. Who knows? Odds are this game will be a classic. These two guys will throw the pigskin off the football.
I hope so. I'm excited. I really am.
Yeah.
I think Kyler Murray is outstanding. Alabama is unfortunately outstanding.
I don't think,
And
unfortunately,
I just don't like them.
teams like this don't come along. all the
Alabama comes
time.
along every year.
I mean, this era of football that we're in, where Alabama dominates, dynasties, long-lasting dynasties like this don't happen often. USC won 2 national championships, I think. I think they won 2. It looked like they were going to make this happen, but it ended early because of controversy and a whole bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah.
This is something that we need to appreciate. All the haters of this Alabama dynasty, you better appreciate Nick Saban.
I can't appreciate
You
it.
better appreciate the greatness that you've been able to witness since 2009 because
my uncle hates Nick Saban, by the way. Shout out to
listen, Nick Saban is a
Uncle
prick.
Scott.
Nick Saban acts like a prick a lot. So
He also
I'm not
hates that he used
surprised,
to be Michigan State
Yeah, I can understand.
and to leave to Alabama,
Yeah.
and then now he's super successful.
But one of the craziest parts of this isn't Nick Saban's most talented team.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
He has had far more talent. His first national championship team with Julio Jones and Mark Ingram and all those guys, but yet this team is more dominant. What Nick Saban has built, people don't appreciate it now, but
It's
20,
disgusting.
20, 30 years away when they're making 30 for 30s about this. What if I told you one coach could build? I mean, it's insane what he's built.
No, yeah, it
I
definitely
love
is.
watching Alabama play no matter who they play because it's almost the same with every team. They'll come up against maybe one team a year where it's really competitive, but they are such a machine that it's just different, and it's beautiful to watch.
So you think they're going to win it again?
Yeah, there's not a doubt in my mind that Alabama wins another national championship.
I'm going to go with Oklahoma, and then I'm going to have Clemson win the whole thing. Yep. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
Is there good reasoning behind this Oklahoma pick, or is
No.
it just because you don't want to see Alabama win?
Oh, that's part of it, yeah.
Come on, where's the non-bias? Where's the strictly?
Well,
where's
if
the
you go
smart take?
non-biased, nobody can beat Alabama.
You're getting real Skip Bayless out here. The Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl.
That is not true. That's not happening. But no, I don't know. I think Oklahoma has a chance. Obviously,
they definitely have a chance.
It has to be
with
turned
Kyler
into
Murray.
a shootout type game. It just stinks that Oklahoma's going to have to work so much harder for their touchdowns because their defense is so bad.
If Oklahoma has more than one, if they have more than 1 3 and out in the first quarter, it's over. That is that is the margin to which Oklahoma cannot mess up. If you have 3 straight 3 and outs in that first quarter, come on. Alabama's going up by 21. It'll be quick, fast, and over in a hurry.
Yikes.
And then Kyler Murray will be in Oakland A. and we'll just watch the highlights and say
he'll
what
be
could have
making
been.
more money than anybody from Alabama. And he'll finally
Except Nick Saban.
he'll
'Cause
finally have his revenge.
Nick runs that state.
That's true. All right. I think that's enough college football talk.
Roll Tide.
I don't want to hear about Alabama winning another national championship.
Roll Tide.
I kind of want to talk about the NFL playoffs now that the season's winding down. Everything's pretty much in a lock.
More competitive play. Probably the most competitive playoffs there will be
right
this year.
So I just want to get your opinion. The AFC is Kansas City, New England, Houston, the Chargers. Those are all locked-in teams. The teams that are still trying to secure their spot are the Ravens, Colts, Titans, and Steelers, with the Titans and the Steelers kind of on the bubble at the moment. The Ravens just need to win their game this weekend or have the Steelers lose. The Colts versus the Titans is actually really exciting because whoever wins that game gets the last playoff spot. And the Steelers need to win and for the Ravens to lose. Do you think that Kansas City is the best AFC team right now?
I think Kansas City is the best AFC team, but all the teams that have secured playoff spots so far, I love how it looks right now because you cannot sleep on any of those teams.
Right.
I think Kansas City can get upset by any of the teams that you just listed. I was about to call them San Diego. Los Angeles has already beaten them once in Kansas City. And that's not even a team that most people consider to be one of the best teams in the NFL, although they're 11-3 and Phillip Rivers is playing his butt off.
But from that win, a lot of people have already started to say, well, now maybe the Chargers are the Super Bowl favorite. Like every week, it's
changing, which
one
is
team beats the other top team, and then it's like, oh, are they the Super Bowl favorites?
Which is
are
why
they
it's
the
so
Super
great
Bowl
to see
favorites?
right now.
Yeah, it's a great playoff race. I agree.
I think the NFC is kind of different though. When you get to that.
Yeah. I think Houston is another team you can't overlook.
Yeah.
Obviously, they just keep winning. I don't think Deshaun Watson's played nearly as good as he did last year, but he's
still been really good.
Still
when he
grinding
needs to.
out wins.
Him and DeAndre Hopkins as a combo are they're almost unstoppable as a combo at this point.
Yeah. Who do you think gets in the AFC? Ravens, Colts, Titans, Steelers. I mean, the Ravens have the best chance. Colts and Titans. Who do you think takes that one?
Colts. I wouldn't be surprised if the Titans got in because they seem to pull these types of magic tricks off and just sneak into the playoffs sometimes. But Andrew Luck and that team is in a really good place right now.
Eric Ebron.
I think they have it going. Just
Terrible.
I've mentioned him so much I can't even mention him anymore because it's what Detroit almost deserves.
They don't deserve it. They don't. They really don't.
I think the organization deserves it. The fans don't.
Maybe. I might agree with you.
The fans don't deserve it. The organization, they've been messing up for so long.
I think the Colts will win this game unless Marcus Mariota gets out of his shell.
Marcus Mariota has games where he looks like the top 3 pick that he was. Like against the Cowboys earlier this season where he started 15 of 15.
Yeah. And then there's other games where he just struggles and he can't do almost anything. The biggest thing for the Titans right now, though, is Derrick Henry has emerged out of nowhere.
Almost 500 yards and 7 touchdowns in 2 games.
After everybody was thinking that this guy's going to be a bust, and now he's just broke out randomly. I don't know. That should actually be a pretty good game. I think the Ravens are going to lock it in. I think the Steelers
I hope the Steelers do not make the
hurt
playoffs.
themselves too much.
They are my favorite team along with the Lions, and I hope they don't make it.
Wow. Stephen A. Smith would be upset.
The way they lose games they need to win.
Yeah, that's true.
It's disgusting to see. The Ravens deserve to win it, and I'm afraid if the Ravens win it because there will be so much expectation on Lamar Jackson going into next season if they get into the playoffs.
That's why I want to see my Ravens get in.
But he doesn't need all those expectations right now. He still needs a year or 2 more of development.
But you think about it, if they get locked into where they're at right now, I think that they play. Oh, I don't know. They actually might play the Chargers. I might have wrote this wrong because I think the Chargers are going to finish better than New England.
I don't trust New England this year.
Because if somebody gets
probably going to bite me.
Well, that's what I was going to say is that
back.
If somebody gets New England as a matchup, you obviously have to go into it with a little bit of a positive attitude comparatively to the other teams you would face. So if the Ravens had to play somebody like the Patriots, I think Lamar Jackson could definitely, live to that pressure.
The Patriots defense is nothing to be afraid of this year. It's surprising how bad they've been.
Right. Yeah, I'm excited actually for the playoffs. Since the Lions have been out for so long now, it feels. I haven't really watched a whole lot of NFL football. I've just kind of kept track of the playoff race, and it's looking like it's going to be pretty exciting. We'll segue now into the NFC, which
is the Saints and everybody else.
It's still like the top.
Pretty much.
The top of the NFC is solid, and I think that they can make good runs. But the bottom of the NFC is such a weird bandwagon of characters.
The Eagles are still trying to get in.
They have a chance.
Aren't the Vikings still trying to get in?
Yeah, the Saints.
I don't trust them at all. Either of those teams.
Saints, Rams, Cowboys, and Seahawks are all locked in, whereas the Vikings and the Eagles are still bidding for their playoff spot. The Vikings need to win or have the Eagles lose. The Eagles need to win and for the Vikings to lose.
How about the fall off of the Rams?
And the big thing is that the Vikings are playing the Bears. So, most
Did
likely
you
the
mention
Bears.
that the Bears secured a playoff spot?
Yes.
Okay.
So
I didn't hear you.
so most likely the Bears will be sitting all their players. Most likely. Unless they want to throw a wrench into the Vikings' playoff hopes, which I would love to see. I'll be honest. I would much rather see the Eagles get in than the Vikings. But yeah, the Saints definitely looking like the strongest team in the NFC right now. The Rams have completely fallen off the table. I don't know what
The Saints have been looking weak lately.
Yeah, that's true.
Also,
but I think the Bears, Rams, and Saints obviously look the best. The Seahawks, though,
watch
they
out
are a
for the
scary
Seahawks.
team. I don't know
Watch
how
out
they
for
do
the
it.
Seahawks.
Every year they just kind of stroll their way in. Recently, they used to be like a big name. Okay, the Seahawks. You got to go play the Seahawks. That's tough. Last couple of years they've struggled a little bit to find themselves, but they keep sneaking in, and they just find ways to win. Russell Wilson is just a winner.
I thought the Seahawks were done before the season. I'd pretty much written them off as they'll never really mean what they meant the past few years again. But Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, people started to write off Pete Carroll, and they were talking about whether or not he'll be done soon. He's showing that he can still outcoach a lot of coaches in the NFL. And like you said, Russell Wilson is just a winner. He gets it done when it means the most. Chris Carson has rushed for 1,000 yards, which has helped them immensely. They have young guys on defense that have really helped them, and it's been a really impressive season for Seattle.
Right.
They can upset one of the top seeds easily.
Right.
To me,
over the years they've lost players, Jimmy Graham, Richard Sherman, all these guys, and then somehow they just rebuild and they come back strong every year. I mean, they're obviously not as good as they once were, but anytime you're gonna have to, if you have to go to Seattle or something, play them in the playoffs. Russell Wilson has been there before. It's kind of spooky.
I think the Bears might have the best chance to make the Super Bowl
Out of the
And
NFC. They probably have the most complete team
Yeah,
at the moment.
it sounds insane to say because they don't have anything besides the defense and Khalil Mack.
Right.
What stands out about this team?
Nothing.
Exactly.
They're a solid all-around
People
team.
don't trust Mitch Trubisky. Tariq Cohen isn't an every down back, but he's extremely explosive. They have solid young receivers that aren't exactly special, but make plays whenever they need to. It's a weird team, but to me, they're better than the team that played Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl, and I think a team that plays them in Chicago, it's a bad matchup. I don't care who it is,
especially this time of the year.
Exactly.
It's hard to do, even though there's not a lot of snow right now, but it's still cold down in the Windy City.
Drew Brees is one of the few quarterbacks I've seen win in Chicago.
But that's just because he's another winner.
Yeah.
That's kind of the more NFC style is that they have all these, they have Russell Wilson and you have Drew Brees, these veteran quarterbacks that have been around for so long. And that's what's scary about those teams the most. So I think the NFC is kind of interesting, but I don't know. I don't see any chance for like the Cowboys or anything.
Cowboys fans, cut it out. That's all I'm going to say.
So we'll get into more of that once the season's over and we have all the teams locked in and we'll see what the playoff matchups are going to be. But let's go over the NBA holiday break, NBA Christmas games. First game of the day, the Bucks beat up on the Knicks 109-95.
If you had to come up with a storyline out of that game, what would it be?
The Knicks are bad.
That's not exactly my story.
It's 109-95.
That game wasn't good at all.
It
just wasn't good.
I felt like there was a couple of these games that granted they ended up being pretty good, the middle two, but
you just had to get that first game out of the way, honestly.
Yeah. And looking into it, you're like, why are the Knicks there? Well, they've played on Christmas Day forever.
It's just New York.
It's like the Detroit Lions playing on Thanksgiving.
They have to put New York in the primetime games because they're just New York, which it needs to stop, but it'll never stop. But for me, the Giannis MVP train, it's kind of starting to annoy me. That really is what's happening for me. It seems like everybody from analysts to everybody's really pushing for Giannis to be the MVP this year.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're just excluding other
other people.
candidates. Like,
And that's what we've talked about on the show before, is that for some reason, when voting for MVP, a lot of the times they won't vote for the same guy that's won it in the past.
it
So now
has to be the hot young
you
guy.
you think about it, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, all these guys,
not
they've
even
they've been there.
LeBron is in the top 3, but everybody knows he's there.
Steph Curry, they're not going to give it to him a third
Yeah,
time.
I only hear a few people talking about James, even though he's having another great season. For me, Kawhi
Right.
is the MVP right now. What Kawhi?
I don't
Leonard-
know who my MVP is right
Kawhi
now.
is averaging 27, which is a career high.
No, he's playing
He
great.
has the Raptors are the best team in the East,
I think
and without him, they wouldn't be.
Kyle Lowry though is the unsung hero on that team.
Oh yeah, he's definitely improved his game, which is they needed that. Everybody's improved, honestly. Pascal
Right.
Siakam, Serge Ibaka looking like himself again, which is
Yeah,
great to see.
thought he was gone,
Yeah,
but I don't know. Obviously, I was going to pick Anthony Davis, but the Pelicans are just struggling right now. So I don't know. There really wasn't any big storylines for me in this game. It was just
yeah. Besides Giannis,
not
yeah,
good.
Nothing. Yeah,
The game was closer even than it felt. Like I said, 109-95, but it felt like the Knicks never had a chance, especially when Tim Hardaway was just terrible in that game.
Luke Cornett hit some threes. that was
Does anybody
surprising.
know who Luke Cornett is besides us?
Real basketball purists,
Probably
you
not.
know Vanderbilt. You know
But
it.
that just tells you the level of play for this
Yes.
game. However, the second game, Rockets versus Thunder,
Much more interesting.
was a solid game. The Rockets ended up defeating the Thunder 113-109.
James Harden dropped 40, right?
41, yes.
Yeah.
41, I think 6 rebounds and 7 assists.
Yeah. He's unstoppable right now.
He's
Along-
averaging 30 plus in the past couple weeks to get the Rockets back above 500. They're 3 games above 500, I believe, now. And it's incredible because Chris Paul has been out. But even when Chris Paul was playing, he's looked bad this year.
There's a conspiracy behind Houston to me.
You think so?
They want James Harden to be great. He is a great player, but
They're forcing it on him?
the 4-step travels,
Oh, yeah.
leading in fouls by like over 200 fouls every year.
Free
There's
throw attempts.
you can't just throw your arms out in the paint and it's called a foul every time just for him.
Yeah.
It's
No,
insane.
I agree. It's hard to watch him at times.
He is a great player.
He's so fun to watch, but it's terrible to watch him at the same time.
It's
It's so
yeah.
weird because he makes some of the most incredible shots and he'll make 3 after 3 after 3, and then he just does this weird, dumb stuff that makes you annoyed.
that doesn't get called.
Right.
And it's just allowed. It's weird.
Here's my MVP, Paul George. I'm going on that hype train. He had 28 and 14 in this game. They did lose,
Paul George is not the MVP.
but this guy's playing.
OKC,
He's having a career season right now,
yes.
and OKC is still third in the Western Conference, maybe fourth now after that game.
I was wrong about Paul George. He's playing like a superstar.
Yeah,
Although I still prefer 24 Indiana Paul George.
I have that
OKC is
jersey.
playing good right now. Paul George is playing fantastic basketball. Russell Westbrook looks okay.
he's doing Russell Westbrook stuff basically.
Yeah.
but I
pretty
feel
much.
well, they showed his percentage. Did you see Russell Westbrook's percentages? He's under 20% from the 3 in every spot. Every spot. Paul George is shooting career high numbers beyond the 3.
I don't
Russell
understand
Westbrook.
how
Russell Westbrook is the worst 3-point shooting player in the NBA right now.
I don't understand how a player of his caliber can be that bad of a shooter. I don't
don't know.
understand it.
But he takes so many attempts
But
as well.
but he will not hesitate to take a contested 3.
Exactly.
It's
My biggest thing,
Problems.
though, with Paul George, he plays both sides of the ball.
he does.
James Harden doesn't do that. LeBron doesn't really do that.
But Kawhi does.
Giannis does. Kawhi does.
Yes.
I get that. But I'm just saying, I feel like Paul George, and he is starting to get a little bit of credit. People are starting to talk about him. He won't win the MVP because he has Russell Westbrook on his team, but I think he should be in consideration.
This is the best situation for him. He doesn't have to be Batman.
Right.
He doesn't have to be the guy. Second man, do what you can, put up points. He's playing really good in his role.
Yeah. Rockets and Thunder are looking like real Real good teams in the West.
Storyline out of that game: Rockets aren't as horrible as they looked a few weeks ago.
If James Harden can
yeah,
chuck up shots and
if-
make shots efficiently,
If James Harden can keep being unstoppable and unpredictable as he is, yeah, they'll make the playoffs. Probably won't win the series, but they can make the playoffs.
yeah. Moving on to the third game of the day,
The Kyrie Irving show.
the next good game. 2 out of the 5 games were good. This being the second. Celtics beat the Sixers 121-114 in overtime. And Kyrie just went championship Kyrie, basically. He scored 40 points. He had 10 rebounds.
Those 2 straight threes in the fourth, or was that overtime?
I think it was in the fourth.
Yeah, it was the fourth. But yeah, those 2 straight threes. That second one, why did Jimmy Butler? There was like this much space between him and Jimmy Butler on that second three. Nobody ran up to him to contest it. It was almost an open three.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I don't know. I think Kyrie was one of the first players to have 40 and 10 on a Christmas Day game, which is funny because he's a point guard. Granted, we talked about it before of why
Yeah.
point guards get more rebounds these days. But anyway, that's still a big stat. Kyrie just took over this game, and he is – I don't really like Kyrie Irving. It's just probably a Cleveland thing.
He's not one of my favorite players either.
But when you watch him,
when he gets into those
Yeah.
zones, you have to. There's no choice but to enjoy watching that.
and like me and my brother were talking about it a lot, he does pretty much the same moves every time, but he still gets people. He
I
goes
can't agree with that.
Okay.
He
His
he
start
does different variations
his-
of moves. but
Yeah,
he-
I'll
he
kind of agree with
creates
that.
moves sometimes.
But a lot of the times when he gets into the paint, we were talking, he does a lot of that half circle, come back and shoot it over his shoulder. And he did it again.
It's because you never know. You have to. You don't know if the crossover is coming. You don't know if a floater is coming. You don't know if he's gonna pump fake, finger roll it under you. You don't know if he's gonna up and under and do one of those crazy layups. He has so much in his arsenal of moves that when he just dribbles around, you're just on your toes guessing of what he's gonna do. And while you're guessing, he's gonna pull up on you and advantage Kyrie pretty much almost
Yeah.
every time.
My big storyline for this game was the Celtics are still one of the best teams in the East.
Can't ignore them.
And they proved it
Still
there.
there.
No matter where they're at in the standings, they're one of the better teams.
Philly might implode.
Maybe.
That Jimmy Butler, it looks like he's not a good fit for that team, and that is a surprise and not good.
Yeah, they can't necessarily figure it out just right, at least.
And also, it's only they've only been together for 3 weeks.
Something like that.
Yeah,
It hasn't been that long.
Yeah, it may take longer, but for them to be good, Ben Simmons has to develop a mid-range jumper. He has to. I mean, the offensive options are dwindling as time goes on. Markelle Fultz will probably be gone soon. Joel Embiid can't do everything by himself. Jimmy Butler's an all-star player. He's going to get his buckets. JJ Redick's a spot-up shooter. Ben, you have to expand your offensive game or this team will never go where it needs to go.
Yep.
Really,
I agree.
yeah.
Moving on, we only have about 6 minutes left, so I'm going to talk about the Jazz beating the Blazers 117-96, and that was the last game of the night anyway.
I love
And-
watching Jazz games. That fan base is so almost every regular season game they come out and they are hype.
Yeah,
I wish Detroit was like that.
but they played the 10:30 game. They ran away with it after the second quarter. Not much to talk about, honestly. The Jazz are still a team in the West, but the bigger game.
I love that statement. The Jazz are a team in the West still.
They
if you
still
forgot, they're here.
And the biggest game of the day, if you're a Lakers fan, the Lakers beat the Warriors 127-101. LeBron got injured in this game. The Warriors struggled a lot.
Rondo.
Are the Lakers the best team in the West? Do they have the answer to beating the Warriors?
The Warriors are winning the championship this year, guys. DeMarcus Cousins is still coming. This was one game that didn't mean anything. The Lakers played a good game. Rajon Rondo took advantage of what he had. Good step, but
See, my
still
biggest
not
thing,
on the level of the
my
Warriors.
biggest thing is that Lakers fans overreacted after this game, which I knew they would. They
100%.
talked about how good their team is and how they're going to stop the Warriors and LeBron this, LeBron that.
You have a good team.
The worst part, though, was that the Warriors fans tried to clap back with DeMarcus Cousins is still coming. That, to me,
That's what I said.
Is a little bit acting like you're scared. This team can beat the Lakers in a 7-game series without DeMarcus Cousins.
True, but it's a way to scare the opponent.
Right. It's a kind of double-edged sword.
This guy hasn't played yet, and most of us were off this game.
We've seen in the last few years the Warriors are not a regular season team anymore. They don't really care about it.
Coast to the playoffs.
Yes, they're having some troubles. They're having little drama issues, but they shot terribly. All three of their stars shot bad. Draymond didn't play very good. Andre Iguodala had a great game.
What happened to Draymond Green's jump shot?
I don't know.
What happened?
It's back to Michigan State. He's looking like Michigan State Draymond right now.
It's almost like Iguodala needs to turn into 2015-16 Iguodala again if Draymond is going to fall off like this.
Yeah. Just let him focus on what he does best, passing, rebounding, being the energy
Defense.
plug guy.
Yeah.
So you're agreeing with me that this isn't a big deal. This game is
nothing close to a big deal.
Thank you. That's what I like to hear. Chris probably would have argued otherwise because LeBron is on the Lakers. I think the Lakers are still going to struggle in a 7-game series against a lot of teams in the West, but it is a good confidence boost for them. The LeBron injury isn't that big of a deal. It's a groin injury. I don't think he'll miss a lot of time.
He said he won't miss a lot of time. And
Yeah,
he said he dodged a bullet because it could have been a lot worse.
Right, and I assume they'll be a little bit careful. They'll probably give him 2 games off, maybe 3, just to see what's going on. But those were the Christmas Day games. They were pretty good. Like I said, the Rockets, Thunder, Celtics, Sixers were good.
They were all right.
Yeah. The Lakers Warriors didn't live up to the hype, unfortunately, unless, like I said, you were a Lakers fan. Let's go into the Pistons real quick. We got about
really
2 minutes. Biggest news. Reggie Jackson has been on the trading block. People are telling other teams Reggie Jackson is available.
Unless a move is made, this news is it's nothing to me. It gives me hope. It's a positive.
But they did do this before, so
exactly.
And I'm scared because some of the teams are like the Magic, and the only money match that happens is Evan Fournier, which is like rekindled old trade talk.
Because this team isn't going to do anything this year, let's just talk about a few positives. Stanley Johnson, looking good.
Sort of.
In this stretch. Luke Kennard is back, healthy. He should be pretty good near the end of the season.
I'm still concerned. They lost to
Charlotte. And that might be it.
They lost to Charlotte again.
Yes.
And they lost to Atlanta, which was a terrible game. I literally watched that game, the whole game.
Listen,
Blake missed 2 free throws at the end of the game.
This team can't be trusted.
They let Vince Carter score 19 in that game.
Okay, Vince.
He's my favorite player.
Shout out to old Vince.
Come on, he's 40 years old.
25,000 points.
Langston Galloway almost saved the game for them in Atlanta. Hit a couple clutch threes. He went off all of a sudden. But Blake was terrible in the clutch. And again, if this team doesn't have Blake, they can't do anything. Now, granted, they beat Washington last night. But Washington's a mess right now.
This is a team that needs to blow it up, but won't. They've moved to Little Caesars Arena, expecting that to draw people in. Attendance isn't that great.
Yeah.
Things aren't bright for the Pistons right now.
I know.
You have a team that could maybe make the playoffs. Maybe. Charlotte looks brighter than Detroit at this point.
Well, hopefully next week
that?
we can talk to Chris about maybe his New Year's resolutions for the Pistons after we'll come back in 2019, next time we see everybody. So we'll have to talk about Pistons then. We'll hopefully get back into some college basketball because Michigan has moved up in the rankings, up to number 2, which is pretty exciting, although they haven't played anybody good yet. So we'll have to see. But, Malik, I'm glad that we got to have just this one-on-one show. You know, me and Chris got it a couple weeks ago. So, good talk.
Great talking.
We'll see you guys next time.
The Pistons suck. And they'll continue to suck.